Now, of course, you worked very closely with Donald Pleasance in 4 and 5. What was it like working with Donald?
It was great. I mean, we didn't have much to talk about, but I remember when he left. I always tell the story when he left Halloween 5. I think it was. He only worked a few days. Then he left, and I would work the rest of the movie. And he made them keep his trailer there for me. And he was like, "You're the star of this movie." And I had this big trailer and this kitchen and a bedroom, and I just thought it was just like the coolest.
What was the most challenging scene for you in the first one you did in 4?
I think I was most scared of backing up into that mirror in the costume shop in the drugstore because it's this thing called candy glass, like breakaway glass, but I don't think I really got like what was going to happen. So, and then I took it. I wish I kept all that stuff. I thought it was so cool after I broke it into a million pieces that I took all of the pieces home in a bag. Candy glass. I don't know if I thought I was going to eat it or what the deal was, but so that was pretty cool. I think I even had like some of the cast like sign pieces of it, but who knows where it went.
What was your first experience seeing Halloween 4? I'm obviously at 10. Well, I was 10 at that same time. I saw it when it was out in theaters. What was your first experience seeing it in the movie theater?
I think I went with a bunch of my friends. I don't know why they let us in. We were so young, but I thought it was so cool. I mean, I was on a soap opera at the time, so I'd only done like television stuff. So this is like my first time I saw myself on a big screen. It was awesome. But I hated that outfit that I wore. I remember being super self-conscious that I thought my butt looked big. And those awful jeans that I was wearing. I was just a stupid kid. Like 11:30, midnight-ish, you had like your lunch break. As a 10-year-old, you're like in bed way before then. So, and they would make me like, I had the same, it's like spaghetti or French fries. That's just still what I pretty much ate for dinner. I had French fries for dinner tonight, which are really good here at the hotel, by the way, if you guys haven't happened. But it's like they treated me like an adult, and I had a lot of people looking out for me and taking care of me, and I had just a really fun time. They had a really nice balance of like making sure that I wasn't scared, because I think it could really mess you up if you're like really being put in that situation. And I was more scared of, there were a bunch of times where like I was like waiting around the corner for them to yell action for me to then like come running around the building or doing something. And I was never scared of when I was running around the building being chased by Michael Myers, but I was always scared having to wait around the corner by myself in the dark before they yelled action, because then there's no one around you. You're just out of sight. So everyone says, "Oh, were you scared making the movie?" It's like, no, because you're in a room full of this many people, so you can't be scared. But when you're outside the door waiting to come in is when it's dark and cold and you're alone, and it gets a little creepy.
How soon after you finished 4 did you go into making 5? Was it
1 year exactly, right afterwards. We filmed them both in Salt Lake City, Utah. So it was, I think, April, and then April, May. It was like a 3-month shoot, April, May, June.
As a kid moving into that next movie, how did you approach playing Jamie differently than your first time in 4?
Oh shit, I don't know. There was no like method acting at all. I was just excited because I got to learn some sign language, and nobody really told me like what mute was. I had no clue. I was just like, oh, scream with no voice. You're like, oh, you know how to do that, and then you just do it. And it's like that whole scene in the opening of Halloween 5, where I'm in the hospital, was done in like one take. I had to wrap out because as a kid, like there were a certain amount of hours, and it was like sun was coming up, and they were like, we have to get this because we're leaving the hospital. So they just said, okay, let's just roll it, and we'll just shoot it, and whatever happens, happens. So I think from the time where Jamie starts having the nightmare in bed to sitting up into the camera screaming, them coming in and rushing her out was just one take, and we got it and we moved on.
Now, of course, you got to return to Halloween with Rob Zombie's Halloween, and then H2 as well. What was that like for you returning to that franchise, but this time as Annie Brackett?
It was really nice. It was like going back home. You know, I remember I was day one on set, and I was in the van, and I was going to the set, and Tyler Mane was in the front seat, and he had his mask in his hand, and there's something called it's called streaks and tips. It's like a spray that you spray on yourself to make you look dirty, and it's very specific, so it reminds me of working on Halloween because it's, you know, it's supposed to age your clothes, and Tyler had it all over his clothes, and I was like brought right back to making Halloween. It was really kind of a cool thing. But I was telling Scout, who played Lori, like, I'm kind of passing the torch, like, sort of, this is your thing now, because I only worked a few days on that Halloween.
Yeah. With that particular movie, we had the premiere for it at the Chinese Theater in Hollywood, and then also H2 premiered there as well too. Audiences really kind of were split down the middle between what their opinion of and what they thought of it. What was your thoughts on it? I mean, personally, I love the fact that you first part of the movie is an entirely new take on what you know about Michael Myers, and then you get into stuff where you pay little nods and relive what was in the first movie. What attracted you to the script?
I mean, I really liked the remake. I don't know. I think people bitched about it and then went and saw it like 5 times. Yeah. So kind of like, well, whatever. But I'm a fan of Rob Zombie, so if you're a fan of his work, I think you'll really dig it. You know, I miss the classic stuff. I'm really a fan of like less is more. So I didn't maybe love that the mask would look like that. I didn't love the knife had to be like giant. You know, there were definitely some things that I just were like, well, but you know, bigger, badder. It's like, you know, Michael Myers. But I think there were some really scary, cool elements. It was shot really dark and fucked up, which I like seeing that. But I don't know, like there's no comparison, you know? It's like they're 2 totally different things. So I think it's cool for what it was. If it wasn't Halloween, like it would have been awesome. I was not a fan of Halloween 2. Yeah. I liked my stuff with Brad Dourif. I thought like we were kind of in like a separate movie than everybody else. But there were like 3 movies going on in that movie. I think he like couldn't figure out which one he wanted to make, so he just made them all, and we just kind of had to guess.
Yeah, well, also too, the director's cuts on those are so completely different.
Yeah, the director's cuts are always better. The studio just gets in and like messes it up. I've heard really good things about it, so I do want to go see it. I will. I'll be honest.
They did make a mistake though, even though it would not have been the same character, it would have been
really
something
cool,
that
right?
had you in there as
so
Laurie's daughter.
I don't know why they're so weird about that. You know, it's like I say, like the people that are going to go see this movie don't care about the celebrity. Like it would be cooler. People that are going to pay to go see it would probably think would be awesome if I would be back in it with her. So I don't know. I don't really get why. You know, I don't know. Maybe I don't have enough like Twitter followers or something.
Well, especially also too with the fact that you're ignoring everything else and you're rebooting it again. Right. So what harm does it take to have you?
I mean, maybe if I didn't do Rob Zombies, they would have considered that. I'm not sure. I don't know. There's really very little consistency with this franchise. So, and then I don't know. They say they're not making any more, but I'll bet you they make more. They just want you to go.
Too much money.
It's like people that do the last concert ever. It's like every year is the last concert ever, you know? Crazy.